big decision here, Bart.
Out of the mud.
It's going to decide the rest of your day right here.
It's true. So out of the mud. So yummy.
Bart is analyzing every move of going. He's going from stack to stack, adding numbers up, doing the crunch line poker routine.
He's looking at hit everything. He's going to know how many chips he has.
And then just after all that.
It's good part.
For a small pot.
A lot of action here.
This is the opposite of what Phil did. I'm going to leave
Wait, so
after just...
Chamath called before us?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And flop odds against Ace King and Ace Jack. Are you
Oh
freaking
my
kidding
gosh!
me? Are you kidding me?
This is when you just get all the chips.
Are you kidding me?
Look how cool he's playing around.
By the way, in a 3-bet pot.
That's how billionaires look when they flop quads, boys and girls.
Is there any way Bart doesn't go broke?
No.
I mean, the problem is, Chamath is one of those guys who could be in there with like 5-4 suited. Like, he can have a weird hand, but...
Gets him with the call. Yeah.
But Baker's in there too, by the way.
I know, with another ace. That could be the one thing that saves Bart, actually.
I can save them both, theoretically. Oh, never did.
Bye-bye, done.
Well, I mean, he still can't beat the 4, by the way. I mean, he still can't beat the 4, though.
It's pretty hard not to go broke here. Good Chamath eyeing on Bart right there.
Gotta be kidding me. Why don't you just throw an ace or a king on the river, too?
Wow, this is
just for just to put more salt in the wound. You gotta be kidding me.
Wow, this is an insane hand.
I'm only hoping, for Bart's sake, that the cards are still wrong. I mean, dude, it's the same deck we just had. Brian just went over to do it. I mean, the cards could be wrong. The king clearly was wrong.
True.
There's a chance this is not right. But if it is, it's awesome for
Wow,
Chamath.
this is an insane hand. I can't believe what's happening.
We don't know if the cards are right or not, but...
Are the cards right? We don't know.
Well, we know the flop is right, yes. We don't know if the cards are 100% right, but there's no reason for us to think they're not right. Ace-Jack gets out of the way. Baker gets off cheap.
Chamath's got a smooth call here, right?
Oh, he shoves here. Oh, no.
He called right
Bart's
away.
drawing dead with Ace-King. Okay, I'm going to go on a limb and say the cards weren't wrong based on Bart's reaction.
Cards were correct.
Based on Bart's reaction, I'm going to go on a limb and say the cards were not wrong.
I'm trying to
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yep.
Chamath doesn't have it covered though.
Burgers.
I kind of wanted a king or an ace in the river, just to make it
It's
worse.
salted.
Just to, like, salt on the wound.
Really the later for it better, right?
Wow. The only good news is, I got to tell you, Bart should be thrilled. I think Chamath might have only had 18,000 instead of like 40.
Yes, no,
Because Bart had like 24, so Bart might still have like 6,000 left.
No, totally.
Nice answer.
Wow, that's so sick.
Wow. That is, yeah, so Bart looks like he's got about 4,000 or 5,000 in front of him. So he bought in for 18.5, had it up to 23.5. So now he's back down to like 5. So he's down like 13 or 14,000. But let's be honest, I mean, if he had 30 in front of him and Chamath had him covered, he would have lost 30.
He's all 30, absolutely.
Considerably less talking going on at the moment between Sean Chacon and Gus Hansen. Suited connectors for Chacon as he raises to 600. 10-6 offsuit for Hansen.
And Gus Hansen never met a hand he didn't like.
He calls, of course. Flop comes 10 and a pair of 8s.
Terrible flop for Gus Hansen. Sean has flop trips. 3 8s, and Gus Hansen has a pair of 10s.
Hansen checks.
And Sean checks.
Turn brings a 4th 8 for Chacon.
Sean has got quads, and Gus Hansen has a full house. Now, Gus Hansen cannot put Sean on an overpair. He's got to believe the best hand Sean could have is the same full house he has. 8's full of 10s.
Chacon Bets 1,200 after Hansen checked.
It's a good bet. Gus is going to raise him here.
He raised it to 2,600. And Chacon simply calls.
It's a good play. And look at this. The river brings another 10. Now Gus Hansen has 10s full. He knows the only hand that can beat him now is if Sean Chacon has the 4th-8.
What a hand. If this was tough for Gus Hansen to get away from earlier, it's impossible for him to get away from now. He bets 3,000. And Sheiky goes all in.
Very quickly.
They always have.
Completely changed his speed.
It is 85, right?
And Gus knows now that Sean is not bluffing. Sean either has the same full house as he has, and he'll split the pot, or Sean has the 4th-8. He calls.
Huh? Throw it away. Throw it away. Throw it away, bro.
Sean is telling Gus to throw his hand away, but he's not showing him the 4th-8.
What can I do? I have the loot.
Sean wants to go on the honor system here, saying I have 4 8s. Now he slams it down on the table. And Sean.
It's a gambling game. Yeah, I've lost a lot of fantasy land in particular. I mean, just a lot of gamble too.
Pocket sixes for Mike here.
Raise.
He'll put an erase to 32,000. And queens for Phil.
2,000. Raise. 60. 60 more.
Phil raises to 92.
First pre-flop 3-bet that we've seen out of him so far.
Oh,
Mike makes the call. It's a big pot before the flop.
184,000 in the middle. Mataso in trouble.
And a big flop for Mike, a set of sixes.
Make that Helmuth is in trouble. Especially because he's got an overpair to the board. Makes it that much more difficult to get away from his hand. He's up against a set. This is disaster for 2 queens.
Helmuth bets 90,000.
Tricky board for a set with the straight and flush draws out there, but Mataso's going to take his chances and try to build this pot.
Oh, how do you like his chances now?
He's got it locked up. Phil Hellmuth is drawing dead with 2 queens. 364 in the middle.
Phil bets 250,000.
That is a monster bet. Mike is doing backflips on the inside. Phil has no idea how awful a situation he's in, but he knows Mataso doesn't have a club draw if he's going to make this call on the turn. Here's the river.
River's a king of clubs. Helmuth puts Mike all in. Mike makes the quick call and takes down a ginormous pot. Oh! Played it like a fiddle again! All but $100 grand of the 1.6 million in play in that pot.
Not sure what Helmuth was thinking with that all-in on the river.
Nothing you can do.
But Mike is furnishing plenty of insult to go with the injury.
Pass. Raise to 5,000.
I obviously thought I opened this game when I saw before.
Pass.
So this game works, right?
Pass.
Simple game.
And this is interesting that Tran raised here. Look at some big
Rowan
hands out
has
there
eight.
just calling them.
Well, I mean, they don't really want to go too crazy yet. It's early, and you don't want to be re-racing with hands like, especially hands like pocket ace. See? Look at that! Look at that! Oh, we have once again. Oh my god, what if he hits the flush? Do you think he's going to get away like he did against Tom in the first heat? Check. I really have a feeling the spade is going to hit. See? I told you the spade is going to hit.
Now Helmuth, remember he made an unbelievable call the very first hand of his Premier League, making the flush against
Tom when he had
yeah.
a full house, yeah.
Is Helmuth going broke here, or was the pot too small for Helmuth to go broke?
I really think it's going to be hard for Helmuth to fold here, because this time he has a king-high flush, not a jack-high flush, and you know, well, he might not go broke now since there was no bet on the turn, and even if he bets the river and someone races, it's not going to be all his tips.
Has Roland played this well so far?
I think he should have bet the turn. He definitely should have bet the turn. I mean, you need to build the pot while you still can. There's only one card left to come. And if nobody bets the river, you might not even get more than 5,000 out of it or 10,000.
I guess. What does that matter?
Price of 37,000.
Yeah, I think that was a good race on his part. If he put Helmy's all in there, I think there's a much better chance that he's going to fold than if he just races 37. Because now Phil is going to think he has chips left. He can still play if he speeds.
Oh boy.
He's getting put in a lot of tough spots, Phil.
He really is. And I mean, is he capable of, we know he's capable of making big folds, but the way the action has gone in that, is he capable of folding this?
I don't know. It looks a lot like Roland has pocket fives here.
Is he capable of, we know he's capable of making big folds, but the way the action has gone in that, is he capable of folding this?
I don't know. It looks a lot like Roland has pocket fives here, the way the hand played out. Because I think if Roland had a flush, he would have bet the turn. And I think if he had an 8, he would have bet the turn as well. So, it's like, either he has the boat, or what,
Okay,
or
guys,
he has nothing.
I just want to point out, I mean, in the car coming over here on the way this evening, Helmut and DeWolf were talking about a hand that DeWolf played where he made a monster bluff on the river last Premier League with deuce 6 against Ian Fraser. And Phil was saying that it was the stupidest.
The 9-10 of spades.
Yeah, I remember that. So I don't really know how that's going to affect Phil here. If he thinks that Roland is going to make a move on it.
Let me see.
Or if he thinks that Roland is going to be really tight and doesn't want to look stupid in front of Phil again.
God, I'm missing half the ball.
Yeah.
Do you have any snowmen about this? 4-8, so.
At least that's a nice hand to lose to.
Could have got more.
Wow. I tell you what, every time they build so up, the cards drag them down.
How in the hell does this keep happening? It's freaking like, it's unbelievable. If I didn't outplay everybody in the last one, I would have lost that one too.
For sure.
So sick.
I would have shot the rhythm.
Play anywhere, I go, I play it everywhere. My favorite thing to do, that's why I really love poker night, because they go to places that the people actually enjoy poker.
Yep.
I don't like playing in Vegas. You know, some of the LA tournaments are the same thing. I don't wear headphones and hoodies and tank everything. I like to talk to people and talk to real people. And when you go on these stops in Oklahoma and Pittsburgh and Sacramento and all these places, you talk to real people who have real jobs and real lives and families, and you have conversations and you get to know people, you meet people, you learn different things. I enjoy that.
It's how poker's supposed to be.
Yeah, I mean, I play
People with
enough
the
poker.
headphones and the sunglasses and the hoodies on, it's just so douchey.
Bro, stop making fun of my friend. Sorry, is it on me?
If I need to, because you know, I just really
Taking
that
like
day.
10,
But I would say it's 95%
like literally
of the
people
time.
like
I'd
every
rather
move
just
they
talk.
have to have a
Top pair for Maria, over pair for Glance. Bad flop for her.
What are you doing,
I
Ross?
checked.
Oh, you checked? No, I checked. I had to call.
When I had the nut flush, you had the
clock.
every
Taking
time I
Glance.
watched it.
None of that.
I called you a nickname yesterday, I remember now. No, sir. That was well played.
The mark of a really good poker player is someone who can sometimes avoid losing the maximum in these spots.
Oh, well, that certainly changes things. Another jack on the turn for Maria.
The mark of a really good poker player is someone who can sometimes avoid winning the minimum in these spots.
What did I do this? I'm always in savage.
And I made a really big mistake at A1 against Gus Hansen.
I'm the worst. She goes from trying to control the pot to let's blow this thing up, baby.
Out of control as Maria fires 1,700.
Because this literally is just fun. You know,
Call from Glance.
I had to introduce myself to Maria today.
Oh, that's great. Oh, that's great. Oh, that's great.
Maybe not.
And the river gives her quads. Come on now, what's going on? Somebody shuffle these cards.
Quads again? What is happening? And that's a terrible card for Glance because he's going to think he's got like the second nuts.
It went fast.
We
got a big hand developing here between Ho and Lance.
Here comes Maria's bet. It's 5,100.
Almost a full pot bet. Matt's gonna give this a think, but I don't think there's any way he folds.
Yeah, the pools. Yeah, he makes the call and whee, quads again.
Another quad burger. Do they call it a quad burger because somebody's always eating it?
That's how she rolls.
Second time we've seen quads.
When was the first? I don't remember. Anybody remember when there were quads other times?
The computer program. It'll be on press. So sort of 4 in my dreams.
And the lid pin. I mean, first level, you're not a big fan of limping in really with anything, or are you?
No, not at all. But I mean, the term they use on the internet, all the young kids these days, it's called mind setting, where they're trying to like trap a set and they hit a set, and there you go. But oh my goodness me, look at this.
How big could this pot get? Set, flush, straight.
Wow.
Quick call from Achilles. I mean, he's not really to know right now how much action he can get by fast playing this, is he?
No, but he's made absolutely the correct move, because the last thing he wants to do is see another spade on the turn.
Landers has got the straight. I mean, what should happen now?
Well, quite rightly, Timmy's obviously of the opinion that he's betting, say, a lone ace or a pair. He's got a big hand here.
And he's made a big bet.
Yeah. I mean, I can't see Kalakis putting his hand down. I think those two are going to go to war, but I can see Donahue being clever enough to pass, but it is a real tight spot, this.
Can you pass a set here? I mean, how many options does Donahue have? Is raise an option right now for him?
No. Now comes the move, because if Kalakis can push here, if he can find it within himself to push. Oh.
Is that a, what kind of call is that? I mean, is he trying to slow play slow, or is he actually worried?
I think he knows he's winning, but he's just hoping a spade doesn't come at the end. Oh my goodness me. Wow.
Donica's got 4 threes. And, I mean...
And he still looks like he's asleep.
Can this pot get bigger?
I can only see a call. I think if he bets here...
What's the bet size? What should the bet size be?
He's going to bet 32,000 in my book here. And there you go, bets 40. He's going to get called by Kalakis, and that allows Tim Flanders to fold, because Tim cannot be winning this coup.
We've already seen Achilles is kind of on his A game tonight. I mean, obviously, the flush is good, a good hand, but... he doesn't think Donica would be bluffing here, does he?
The information he has got is he's in a 3-way coup, and a 3-way coup will open itself up to a full house being out there, as opposed to if he heads up, you just can't believe they've got him. In his mind, he's betting with the flush, he's playing a hand that's got a bigger flush draw, and maybe someone who's got 2 pair or a set.
If somebody had a bigger flush out there,
I think the hand would have been played faster.
Right.
So, I mean, that's probably going to mess up his thought process.
Because and who's he more worried about? Is he worried about...
Yeah, and Tim has to pass here.
This has been one strange hand. It's kind of amazing that no one's going to go broke here.
Well, you see, what Kalakis' flush is just sort of mid-range, and he was scared of another spade coming out. Because when he gets 2 opponents, he's thinking, I'm never going to make somebody with the ace of spades pass. So he needs to see no spades.
Look at that face, Tim. Physical torture pain. But 40,000 is nearly all his stack. Can he beat a bet and a call?
No. And I'm sure he's going to be clever enough to understand that. He's just mad that it's paired up at the end, but he doesn't know the pair up at the end has actually saved him. He's not going to be thinking that, but that's exactly how it is.
He's looking at Achilles. He's looking at Donica. I mean, in his wildest dreams, could he say to himself, Achilles? No.
Well, his best chance was to phone a friend. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What a hand!
Full straight.
What a hand!
When he stumbled upon a game of poker, and
he hasn't been going back for auditions since.
Look at Phil Ivey here, a pair of kings. And one of the things you gotta like about Phil Ivey, he always seems to get max out of what he has.
Raised to 14,000.
And one of his tricks, if you want to call it that, is playing his Jack 3 the same way he plays his pair of kings, the same way he plays his 8-4. It's very hard to put him on a hand. He'll raise with just about anything in the correct position.
So it's Jerry Fitt who's got to do some thinking here.
And these are the two biggest stacks at our table right now. The guys who least want to confront each other. In a no-limit hold'em tournament, Barry, the big stacks like to pick on the smaller stacks, the guys who can't hurt them. We could have a big confrontation here.
Well, Fitt did call.
Oh, look at this!
My goodness.
And I'll tell you what, Barry, I think Phil Ivey should bet here.
Check.
He just checks.
Yeah.
Thinking his hand is just too big to bet, but if he wants to get any action out of Fitt,
check.
and Fitt. Now, okay,
Smells a rat here.
Now Ivey's gonna bet a little bit.
20,000 is the bet from Phil Ivey. 53-4 in the pot.
Is Jerry Fitt's 9 enough to compel a 20,000 call here? With two kings on board, it makes it less likely that Phil Ivey has a king in his hand. And of course, astronomically unlikely that he has two kings in his hand. Quad kings is the last hand that Jerry Fitt suspects right here.
Play raise.
Right.
He's gonna raise.
Okay, now, we know that Phil Ivey is licking his chops. Let's watch to see how Ivey reacts to this bet.
Raise 50,000. 70,000 in total.
The raise is to 70,000.
Let's see how long Ivey takes. 50,000 to merely call. Will he merely call or re-raise? And I like that Ivey has not gone to his chips yet. He took a look at his opponent. Counting out the chips. Still thinking, ostensibly. Beautiful act Phil Ivey is putting on right now.
And your point is well taken. I mean, he would play it this way if he had a 10-3. And he calls.
Just calls.
Oh, there's the knock.
Brutal! Oh my goodness. Jerry Fitt just got the worst card he could have possibly found in the deck. He now has a full house, 9s full of kings. He just checked it though, because Jerry Fitt knows if Phil Ivey had a king, that 9 fills up Phil Ivey.
And Phil Ivey said, I'm all in.
Every single one of his remaining chips. Jerry Fitt has more chips than Phil Ivey, but that's a 106,000 chip bet. This is by far the hugest pot of the tournament. And Barry, that kind of bet, that all in there, to most players it would look like a guy who doesn't want to get called. And that sometimes can influence a player's decision. When you look at a guy who doesn't want to get called, call him. This is a tough spot for Jerry Fitt. He has a full house. He improved his hand on the river.
How do you throw a hand like that away?
I don't think I could, honestly. Jerry Fitt is having second thoughts.
Yeah, agonizing. Trying to figure what can he have.
It's simple as this. If he believes Phil Ivey has a king in his hand, he must fold. And he does. What a great fold Will Ivey show.
Cut your losses.
He does not show.
Of course not.
And this way, Phil Ivey keeps the seed of doubt planted in his opponent's mind.
So, possibly a slight boredom raise. Tony G just flat calling with the ace and another ace.
He's done this so often.
Yeah, but the thing is, the table's dynamics change a bit. You know, when Sam Trickett was squeezing away all the time, maybe that was the play. But Sam's a bit, you know, he's talking about dinner
and Oberstadt as well. There was a time when she was making plays like this with no hand from the small blind.
Normally I don't mind this kind of thing, try and set up the squeeze play, and if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But it's a reasonable flop for Roland.
Did you hear him scream?
It's actually quite a good flop for aces, isn't it? I mean,
did you hear Roland scream?
But it's going to be hard to not do your money with the aces here. Now what's happened is Gentili's decided to come out firing. She's got top pair. She called pre-flop the Queen 9 suited. Quite reasonable. She's made the dom bleed, find out where you are, that kind of thing. You're probably winning. You want to protect against overcards. You don't really think anyone's going to have a 3, and you want to narrow the field down.
And you know,
Tony G somehow has just found the call, which is pretty amazing, really.
Wow, Rollins, look how live he's drawing. If Tilly can find a 9 or Tony can find the ace.
Yeah, well, obviously Roland was going to call because, you know, he wants to try and... He's got 2 punters, you know, he's thinking one of them's going to bet on the turn. This is a bad card for Roland, really, because it might scare off his customers, the fact that it's come diamonds. Tony G does have the ace of diamonds, though, and we know that his MO is that he generally likes to call. I think Jennifer will pass, and that Tony will just call. I think that's how it's going to work out. And if it comes a diamond on the river, we might see Tony G do a bit of money.
And if it comes an ace,
well, if it comes an ace, that would be a double up for Roland de Wolf. Yeah, Tony G does just flat call, and here is the river, and it's a blank, the black deuce. What a blank! So Tony G's he's in check call mode. Tony G. Roland's. He can get away with betting 4,200 and get a call. He's asking for it to be spread.
No, he's gonna get greedy.
I mean, look go for greedy because he knows that Tony G, you know, is a bit of a caller. Yeah, he's going for like 6, 7, 8 grand. Yeah,
8 into 7.
Yeah. He's kind of doing that thing where, well, I didn't get much value out of the earlier streets. I'll make up for it by betting more on the river. And Tony G might be thinking that this is a kind of nuts or nothing situation. You'll often get a caller here and the bloke will say, yeah, I knew it was quads or nothing, because what else are you supposed to have here? You know, like 9's full.
It looks like it could be a flush here, right?
Could be a flush, yeah.
Or what do you bet bigger on the turn with a flush?
Well, it could be a flush. So the only thing is Tony G's got the ace of diamonds, and, you know, would Roland have raised with a flush draw? Like a nice laydown, is it?
Aces right now.
Roland's certainly not showing the quads there.
And this is exciting on a lot of levels, not least because next to a poker hero of mine, Eric Seidel. Eric, I've never really heard you talk much about poker before. Are you looking forward to being on this side of the table?
Yeah, I am. You know, I'm particularly curious about these matchups because you have so many really excellent players that play at a very high level at this table. And the third match, of course, you know, it starts to get exciting because the points come into effect. So I'm very curious to see how things go.
This group, different than your group, Group A, in the early levels has featured a lot more 3-betting and even 4-betting, even in the first 2 levels. Although right now here we have an open from Scott Seaver.
This could be really dangerous, yeah, because I think Tom played this very quietly, and it's very possible this could get very big.
I mean, you also, I think in your third match, sort of regarded the 10s in the first level more as a set mining sort of pair than a big pair, and because Wilanovsky has just 2 points, you know, you kind of think he's going to be taking chances early?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the problem for Tom here, is that I think that he has to suspect that Ben may be making a play just because of the situation. So this could be a very troublesome situation for him.
The re-raise 3-bet size is quite large, up to 22,000. I mean, we've already got a big pot here, and with Tom being in position, if it comes a low flop.
Wow.
Kind of the end of Wilanowski. I mean, do you think if you're Wilanowski, you're actually not feeling bad about getting...
This is such a difficult spot for him to be in because you've got the two clubs there. So it's really hard for him to, not to lose a lot of chips on this one.
And you think he's taking this a check call line here or a check raise line?
I think he's looking to check raise.
Tell me what you know about the way Tom Dwan plays. What's his strengths? I mean,
Tom, he doesn't miss anything. He's very aggressive. He's really one of the standouts of the young guns.
Ben Wilanowski, so impressive in the qualifiers. In many ways, the unlucky man in this Group B so far. And he's just gone for a call here. I mean, this is the kind of, when you're doing this, are you sort of looking to reevaluate the turn? Like if it comes, a big club or something, you can give it up, but you can't give it up now, can you?
He's in a very interesting spot. Yeah, I mean, it's he's taking a funny line here because if he bets out, if he bet out originally, there's a chance he can get off it. At this point, I think it's very difficult for him if he can get away from this. It would really be a great laydown.
At this stage, Tom is just pretty much going for stacks.
7-2.
I mean, if you're Tom, you're not even thinking to yourself, well, if he has ace king, I want to check back and try and get a bet on the river. You just go for it.
Yeah, I mean, this is really the critical spot for Ben. He's got to figure out if he's beat and throws it away. It would really be a nice laydown.
We were talking several times throughout the heats of this group that Tom has this reputation where he just gets action all the time. But that said, in the two heats so far, he hasn't really pulled off any monster bluffs. He hasn't made these big three-barrel things with no hand. Essentially, he's played rather tight.
Right.
Which doesn't mean that he's not capable, I guess.
Right. Well, that's one of the things that makes him so difficult to play against, because he is capable of playing so fast, and it's hard really to. Oh, this is a bad card for Ben, because it just makes him it makes him think it's less likely that Tom has that Tom flopped a set.
Now, Wilanowski has about 170,000 back. Obviously, it's the first hand, so the all-in bet is probably the bet. Do you ever call the turn and fold this kind of blank river?
Oh, yeah, that does happen for sure. I mean, Ben certainly seems to have a sense that he's in some trouble here. But the spot that he's in is very difficult, because he's playing against a guy who has a reputation for being super aggressive and certainly might bluff in this spot. It's hard not to be sympathetic to Ben's situation here. It really is. I mean, he's just really caught in a bad spot.
That card just complicates things.
He's had a miserable Premier League so far, Wilanowski. I'm sure he came in here thinking, just put a couple points on the board, put yourself in a position where you... There he goes.
Calls. How's that up?
That's tough. That's really tough.
That's so hard.
Alright, so now he's in a position where he's... is he completely out?
I don't know how many times I can keep getting my money in so good and
You got it good at the Yevgeny yesterday when he had aces and you had ace 10.
Yeah, and the Phil Lack one as well with the overpair also. Those different heats would be, I'd have 30 points. It's so disgusting.
Well, the ace 10 was genius though. Small blind, big blind.
Yeah, the two chip leaders.
55.
Who is more scared of getting their stack in light right now?
Call.
I think it should be Timoshenko.
We don't know. I got position. Maybe I'll do something with that.
Yeah, Timoshenko doesn't want to mess up his lead. He's already in a really good spot here with the points he's had. And Daniel, he wants first. He's not too bothered if he does get knocked down now. So, oh wow.
Wow, Lunkin.
At least if Timoshenko bets, Daniel's at least gonna. Well, he's obviously gonna call, but if Timoshenko checks, he can't fold. So this pot's gonna be 300k at some point.
It's actually quite hard for Yevgeny to give Daniel a 10 here, and the hand plays.
Why?
I mean, it's unlikely he's got a 10, right?
Yeah, it's unlikely he's got trips, but hands like Queen 10, Jack 10, King 10, 10 9, 8, 10 8 suited. Those are all hands in Daniel's range.
Yeah, but there's hundreds of other hands, and like there are other hands.
There's not that many other hands.
What I was going to say was that like if he doesn't have a 10, then it's hard for him to carry on with the hand because Timoshenko can have a 10.
Yeah,
there's a lot of hands that are going to hate it if you put pressure on.
Well, look, as I said, pot's 300k and we're going to a turn. Let's see if the Timoshenko hits a 6. Oh dear. Now, obviously we can see the cards. We want to see Daniel check behind here.
He has to.
I think he will. Yeah, great check.
6 is the Busto card.
6. Let's see the 6.
6 for El Busto.
Wow, quads, only quads. And now Timoshenko thinks he knows. I think Timoshenko has to bet here.
But it's such a risky bluff because if he goes bust now, he kills himself in the league.
No, he's not going to go bust. He's just going to bet a little 120. Granny's going to re-raise either all in or.
The thing is that Daniel could easily have a queen.
Kind of feels.
They're both as likely as each other to have a queen.
You like the bet?
Yeah, I like the bet.
You like the bet roll?
Yeah.
How much did he bet? 150?
Yeah.
I think so. I think Daniel's going to raise here because he's got nothing to lose.
Yeah, just the mere quads.
Raise all in. Well, that's the end of that, Timoshenko.
Why does Timoshenko like wait?
Because he wants to pretend that he's got a queen and fold a queen.
He wasted like 4 seconds to look at what he's doing.
Sick hand. Pick a card, either card. Left one. Left one.